So earlier this week, I went to a very special movie screening. Evangelion, Thrice Upon a Time, the fourth and final film in the Rebuild series. I just gotta say, what a surreal experience it was going to watch Evangelion in a movie theater in 2022 with my daughter and my nephew, no less, who are huge fans of anime and of Eva. And this was just not something I ever imagined back when I watched Eva for the first time so many years ago. And I will say I enjoyed the movie, I enjoyed the whole Rebuild series, but it's not what I expected. It is not at all what I expected. It surprised me. And I just thought I'd talk about it today. I wanted to talk a little bit about how the movies compare with the series. I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't seen the movies or the originals. I will not spoil anything here. Just going to share some of my thoughts and feelings about it. I first watched Evangelion so many years ago. It's probably been, 16 years or something. I had gotten the DVD box set of the Platinum Edition, and this was such a big deal. I had gotten it for my birthday. I was so excited to finally watch this series that I had been hearing so much about for all kinds of years. I invited my friend Steve over, and we watched that whole series in less than 24 hours. He stayed the night at my house. We watched most of it the first day. Eventually we crashed out. The next morning we finished it. So that's just a fun memory. That was a good time, sharing that experience with my friend, and it's something I look back on fondly. But how did the series hold up to our expectations? Well, I can say for myself, it absolutely lived up to all the hype. I loved everything about it. I loved the characters, the story, the world building, the action. Yeah, it was fantastic, phenomenal. However, at the time, I really didn't get the ending. The ending left me a little disappointed and a little bit unsatisfied. I think maybe I wasn't paying enough attention perhaps at some of the parts, and I didn't get it. It felt like all the momentum that had been building up for the entire series, the first, 24 episodes, it just stopped. And then you get these two final episodes that are just like a little bit abstract and just, I didn't get it at the time. Now I can appreciate it, but it was a controversial ending and one that they've tried to kind of redo over and over again with End of Evangelion, the movie, many years ago, and then now with the Rebuild series, they once again tried to kind of do the series proper, do it justice. I guess this is the way that Hideaki Anno wanted it to be, and part of the reason the ending was so weird originally was, they say, due to budget and time constraints. So this is kind of his vision, which makes me okay with the changes they've made, and they made a ton of changes. Alright, so when I saw this movie was coming out in theaters, I was like, okay, I've got to finally go back and I've got to watch the rest of the Rebuild movies. So I watched them. I watched the first one and I was like, okay, this is great. This is awesome. This is like a really good refresher. It felt very much the same as the early part of the series, just kind of better looking animation. The pacing is picked up a little bit. They had to cut some stuff for length, trying to condense an entire series into just 4 movies. But I really enjoyed it. I thought, yeah, okay, this is great. I remember most of this, and this is coming back to me now because it had been so long since I watched the original. Okay, then I got into movie 2, and I'm like, okay, this is still familiar, but they've changed a few things. They added a new character, Mari, who was a cool character. She's another child pilot, so that was all good. They changed a few details here and there, but I enjoyed it. Okay, things are going along smoothly. Get to movie 3, and then I'm like, hold up, what is going on here? I was completely lost. I was like, first of all, everybody's gonna be lost at the beginning of that movie. That's as much as I will say. I'm not gonna tell you what's going on, but it was a real shock. It was a really jarring turn from the original story, the original series. I'm like, am I going crazy? I don't remember any of this in the original. What in the world? So I finished the 3rd movie, and then I decided, well, I still got like a week until I'm gonna go see the 4th one in the theater, but I don't know if I'm losing my mind or what's going on, because this is all very new and very different than what I remember it to be. So I had to know, is it my memory loss, my old age here kicking in, or was this in fact a very different turn for the series? So I went back and watched the original. And yeah, I'm happy to say that I was correct. It was very, very different. It took a huge turn, basically from the third movie onward. Third and fourth movie is totally different from the original series, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, again, this is from Hideaki Anno, the creator of Eva. This is what he wanted to make, and he made it, and I enjoyed it. I just had to separate in my mind. I had to be like, okay, this is something else. The original is one thing. These movies are something else. This is a different telling of the story. This is a different timeline. This is its own entity. And if I can separate that and just enjoy each one, then I can appreciate each one. And so I did. Going into the Rebuild movies, I thought this is just going to be kind of like a remaster. They're going to flesh out the ending a little bit better. They're going to condense it into these movies. This is going to be like the best way to watch the series for newcomers. Is it the best way to watch the series? I don't know. I think if you like one, you should watch one and then you should watch the other. And I think you'll enjoy both, but you do need to just accept them as being two very different things at some point. Personally, I'm still partial to the original series. You know, there's a lot more humor, there's a lot more character development in the original. Things that, I just like the approach they took even with some of the characters' backstories. They changed up some of the characters quite a bit, some of the events quite a bit. I like the way it played out in the original, and I like that it had more time to do more fun things as well, you know. For a show that's essentially about depression, there were a lot of really, really charming, funny bits thrown in. I love all the scenes where they're at Misato's place and chilling with the penguin and she's getting drunk, and there's just a lot of fun in that series until, a certain point it takes a darker turn. It gets a little more serious. We see some more disturbing stuff going on. I just feel like there was a whole lot more character progression, a whole lot more heart in the original. You really got to know a lot more of even the supporting characters. It just goes a lot deeper into some of those relationships and those characters and their histories. And we just don't see a lot of that in the movies. And the movies have, I would say, a much more serious overtone. Again, that's saying something when you've got a show that's about depression, basically. But still a much heavier, much more serious tone in the movies. And just they didn't have time for all that character development and all that good stuff that was really fun and really made you love those characters. Now, if you've seen the original and you love those characters already, then I think you have a little bit more to go on here, and you'll be that much more affected and shocked by some of the things that happen in the movies. But going blind into the movies, I don't think they would have the same impact on me that the original series did. I'm just gonna say that. But I do love some of the things that they introduced in the movies. I think Mari's a cool character, and I love the animation. We have more modern animation. Some of it was a little underwhelming, but really crisp compared to the old stuff, and it really was something to see on the big screen. And some of those fight scenes were like so hectic. There was so much going on. It was like sensory overload. Lots of flashing lights, and I was like, oh, I was getting lost. My eyes were like getting lost, not knowing what was going on sometimes, because there was so much going on. But very cool stuff, man. Very cool stuff. I gotta say, I enjoyed both very much. The new movies haven't topped the original for me yet, but I'm still kind of digesting them, I think I might have to rewatch them. It's like my mind was battling this as I was watching it. I was like, that's not the way it's supposed to be. No, this character doesn't do this. So like I was having this mental war while I was watching it, but until I could just turn that off, I just had to flip off my brain after a while and be like, no, this is something else. Set that aside. This is something else. So, two different timelines, two different storylines, two different interpretations of it. I can't complain about this like I complain about, how they changed Trigun. This is the work of Hideaki Anno, as I've said for the third time now. This is his baby. This was his creation, and he's doing what he wants to with it. And so I can't complain about the changes he made. It's what he wanted to do. In the end, what's the best way to watch Eva? I don't know. For me, I still prefer the originals, but I think both are good. They're just different. Different but good. So check out both, If you haven't seen the new movies, go check them out. It was a lot of years they've been working on these things, and it's great to see these, and just to celebrate the series. It was so influential and just so loved by so many people, myself included. It's glad to see these movies. I also had a blast rewatching the originals. I watched the original series on Netflix, I believe. Watched the rebirths on Prime. Yeah, watch them wherever you want to. Go ahead and watch them both. I suggest watching the original and then the rebirths, but it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. This is just my opinion. Great times, great series, one that myself and so many other people will always cherish. What else can I say? It's Ava. Everybody knows this. You don't want to hear me anymore. So anyways, have a great day. Thanks for listening to me, this idiot ramble on and on. I will see you next time. Take care.